I want to talk about one of the greatest directors of all time, Joseph L. Mankiewicz, a brilliant screenwriter. I already made a video about his All About Eve script and why it's maybe the best ever written. But as a director, he's shockingly underrated. He's a perfect specimen of the invisible directing style, the director who serves the story and doesn't call attention to himself. In his case, he's so invisible that critics and scholars, the supposedly best trained eyes in the world of film, can't see him. Just check his page in They Shoot Pictures. It's 2 steps away from being the roast of Joey Mank. In the Encyclopedia of Hollywood, they say he had a plodding and uninspired visual style. The Rough Guide to Film says he was a writer first, a producer second, and a director last. In a Mankiewicz picture, the dialogue does all the talking. Rough indeed. Richard Corliss says that A Letter to Three Wives and All About Eve, the films he won 4 Oscars for, mind you, have limitations as cinema. The specialized minds simply fail to see the big deal about Joe Mankiewicz, the director.
Well, if that's her idea of a joke, it's an extremely poor taste.
And I do mean that word, they fail. Even when authors compliment his direction, they're ever so frustratingly vague. In 501 Movie Directors, a book I recommend to absolutely everyone who doesn't want to learn anything about visual style, the film scholar chosen to speak about Mankiewicz says that A Letter to Three Wives shows expert direction. Whatever that means. Then in the next paragraph he says his other films are not visually striking. Ronald Bergen, whom I have nothing but respect for, though he's no David Bordwell, defends that his films have an elegant visual style. Eric Smoodin says that Mankiewicz was an elegant visual stylist whose talents as a director far exceeded his reputation. In The Rough Guide to Film, Tom Charity says that The Ghost and Mrs. Muir is... deftly directed. More specifically, he concedes that Mankiewicz knew how to stage a scene. I'm going to presume that an elegant visual style refers to staging, cause these authors aren't giving me much to work with, but bless their hearts, they tried. So the consensus on Mankiewicz's directing talent seems to be, his visuals are unremarkable, but he's good at staging. Which to my mind is nothing short of surreal. It would be just like saying that Edgar Degas wasn't much of a painter, but his ballerinas are neat. Well, no shit, that's what he fucking painted! What I mean is, staging is visual. For some reason, critics and scholars predominantly fail to notice or care about cinematic staging. A shame, since it is one of the biggest and most interesting aspects of film direction, and it's the major subject today.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
What is staging? It's blocking, that is, the positioning and movement of actors, plus the arrangement of the set, props, decorations, doorways and such. Staging can't be separated from camera work. The camera needs to fit within the location and move accordingly. Staging is what Joseph L. Mankiewicz excels at. He shoots no intricate tracking shots, no outrageous angles. He stages creatively for the camera, and that is cinema enough. A style that is invisible to the max, even among other invisible directors. Critics don't see it, but now you'll see it. In 13 minutes, you will know more than movie experts who have written books. About Mankiewicz. You'll know about Joseph L. Mankiewicz, at least. One film. We'll go through one single film from his career, and believe me, that's enough.
I understand you want to marry my wife.
It's his final picture, the masterpiece that is Sleuth. A 1972 murder mystery faithfully based on Anthony Shaffer's brilliant play.
The mistress's bedroom. Or would you know your way about
The mistress or her bedroom?
It stars Laurence Olivier, Caine and Alec Cawthorne. I promise I won't spoil it, but in case you haven't, I absolutely recommend you watch it as soon as possible. It's got half a dozen plot twists, and it's the best film of '72. Yes, it is.
Check it, if you like.
Olivier plays Andrew, a rich murder mystery writer who invites his wife's lover, Milo, to his estate to goad him into an insurance scheme. That's as far as a synopsis can go.
It's a real game. And a real murder.
If you read about Sleuth in that source of words, 1001 movies you should see before you die, the author will say that Mankiewicz has no visual flash. And what he does to make the film less theatrical is opening up the setting by venturing into the garden. That's what film directing comes to. Shooting scenes in exteriors. What about this other reference book, 501 Must-See Movies? What does it say about the direction of Sleuth? The directing is sensitive.
What the hell is even that? What the hell is even that?
People read this type of broad tripe and think they learn something. Allow me to speak about the direction of Sleuth.
You know the answer to that just as well as I do.
Let's start off with the obvious. Andrew has a gaudy house full of dolls, puppets and decorations of every tasteless kind, and Mankiewicz cuts to inserts of these objects repeatedly throughout the picture. It's like these props are silent witnesses to the action. And close to the ending we realize some of them are actual answers to a couple of mysteries. Answers presented casually without our knowledge. This was the early 70s, the age when zooms reigned supreme. Everyone was using them, and as discreet a director as Mankiewicz was, he also couldn't resist them. Sleuth has plenty of zooms.
Let my secretary sort it out.
I won't try to fool anyone. This film is very much two men in a handful of rooms talking for over 2 hours. And it's glorious.
The bloody glass came out, my bloody boot got stuck, and I fell down a bloody ladder! Well, the bloody police must have heard it all the way to bloody Salisbury!
Besides actions that advance the plot, Shaffer's script only occasionally gives them things to do. In one scene, Andrew plays pool out of the blue without missing a beat.
Good shot.
Yes, it was yellow.
And from beginning to end, our characters souse themselves in liquor.
Perhaps you prefer a brandy, or are you going to tell me you never drink on duty?
Oh, no, sir. I always drink on duty. I can't afford to in my own time.
Drinking. It's one of the great cheats to make dialogue scenes visual. It gives actors actions to do, places to reach, glasses to hold.
Thank you for the drink.
Oh, no. I thought you were brought up in England. Surely you know it's not done to be rude.
But basically, those are the only actions to be performed. Plot stuff, a couple distractions, guzzling. Most of the runtime, it's two characters talking in repeated rooms. And it doesn't matter how little there is to do. Mankiewicz's staging is rich and dynamic. Our boozy Brits never stay put. They're always moving around these sets full of objects to interact with, besides the bar. If there's one thing Andrew's house drowns in, it's ugly dolls. And seats. Here's a fine drinking game for whenever you feel like getting cirrhosis. Watch Sleuth taking a shot every time a character sits down. The director has his players walk around, sit down, stand up, walk around again, sit down somewhere else. Over and over and over. Sleuth is the extreme opposite of the current blocking trends of simple stand and deliver and walk and talk. It's sophisticated variety that should be studied and respected as much as any showier visual flourish.
They amused each other and were in turn amused. They just sit, stare.
Here's a repeated blocking strategy. While speaking, an actor, mostly Caine, will walk to the other side of the room. He may or may not sit down. We may get a brief shot-counter-shot exchange. The other actor, usually Olivier, will now speak while approaching.
My little baby, do me a favor, let me handle this, know what I mean?
Brief aside, I want to make it clear that there's nothing wrong with the good old shot-counter-shot exchange. It's only a problem when a director can't use anything else.
Crime is my bag. I got this caper all worked out to the last detail.
Here's how you do great staging. Pay attention to how the characters' positions never stop changing before your eyes. Think in terms of the geography of the screen. Left, right, top, bottom, foreground, middle ground and background. Andrew stands up and the camera follows as he walks to Milo. Left, right, both in the middle ground. As he speaks, Caine steps to the foreground, opening up space for Olivier to walk to the right. He's the one on the right now. He lays down his drink and sits down. Shot-counter-shot exchange, each actor on a different level, and details of the set are always clearly photographed, including the safe in the background that Milo will have to open. Now Milo picks up his drink and, you guessed it, walks to the other side of the room and sits down. Andrew stands up and moves to the right of the room, as the camera follows, pulling back to include Milo in the foreground. Mind how this room has two levels, separating them vertically. Andrew plays with a book, quick exchange. He walks back to the table and leans on it.
No, don't drink. It's a trap.
The camera following and including Milo, foreground, bottom, right. Brief exchange and Andrew moves to the left to show some documents. Now he walks to Milo and speaks close to him.
For £170,000.
This is a scene of persuasion. Andrew wants to convince a skeptical Milo to join his little caper. Milo resists, Andrew explains details from every direction and leaves him to think it over. You can see that whole story play out on screen. If there's a critic who still believes that the dialogue does all the talking, then I believe he's not really watching.
Frankly, you are trying too hard to be a big boy too soon.
The direction of Sleuth can be explained in two words that explain the best examples of great invisible directing anywhere. They are variety and convenience. By variety I mean how the elements on screen, the characters being the major ones, are constantly changing positions. They switch horizontally, Milo on the right, Andrew on the left. Andrew crosses over, now he's on the right, Milo on the left. David Bordwell calls this visual play the cross.
It's not a murder weapon you weren't talking about, you know. No? No, we're discussing an object from which I receive in the classic formula a glancing blow which will raise a lump without actually cracking the cranium.
Characters can also switch positions in depth, from front to back, or back to front. Watch Andrew giving Milo a lesson in destruction. Olivier is in the foreground left, and Caine in the middle ground right. Lesson over. Now they invert positions. Now it's Caine in the foreground left and Olivier in the middle ground right. As a good director from the 40s, Mankiewicz knows the powerful weapon that is depth.
It worked. She got itchy, and I had to scratch, didn't I?
Now convenience. Convenience is what I call when everything in the set is in the right place for the actors to interact with and for the camera to capture. It's something that's overlooked when discussing filmmaking, because we tend to take for granted that in a movie things are where they are by magic. But it's part of setting the scene for maximum visual effectiveness. And when done well, a simple camera angle can show you everything you need in a way that feels effortless. By the way, in case you're learning something, like and subscribe. It will help you get more videos like this one. You can also join me on Patreon. Now back to Sleuth. Here a weepy Milo kneels in desperation, conveniently placing his head behind the handrail's arch, allowing us to see his face. Earlier we witnessed Milo breaking in from outside. Andrew arrives to impatiently wait and he sits on the world's most conveniently located chair. So well located for this exact angle that it looks like he has his back on the window frame.
Somehow I thought you'd be better than that at climbing ladders.
Another shot from outside using aperture framing. Here Andrew's in the foreground and Inspector Doppler arrives in the background, his head conveniently fitting a diamond pane. As the two men leave, the camera approaches the window to show two dolls, each in its own clear pane. Mind how all the others are frosted. The dolls' positions could only fit in these ones. This is such a purely pictorialist moment. It's practically showing off how precise the production design and the cinematography are. Yet some say his films are not visually striking.
Good shot.
Yes, it was yellow.
Notice how loudly the camera speaks by doing practically nothing in the shot. Milo is looking for Andrew's hidden safe. The camera scans the desk, this object, that one. Then it allows Milo to leave the frame as it tarries on the dartboard. Now you know where's the hidden safe, and all the camera did was stop.
Good shot.
Yes, it was yellow.
Mind here how Milo walks away to this new spot where the photos can be clearly captured. One of the photos captures his and the camera's attention. A photo that will come in play later on.
Shucks, gosh darn, if I ain't Mr. Doggone Critter.
Look at this punch here. Notice how Andrew could have very well remained in place. There was no need whatsoever to walk around that game in front of the fireplace. But why not? Everything's a fluid motion. Right, left, further left. Don't forget how Milo's fall leads the camera to the puppets.
Good shot.
Yes, it was yellow.
While going through the perfect staging, we touched on the perfect framing. But I want to fully drive home how precise it is. How sets and props are made visible. And this film has a most unusual set of props. Watch this fascinating shot here. Position 1. The stairs give us two frames within the frame. One for Milo, one for the doll. We follow Milo to the right. Position 2. Getting that smaller doll there. Position 3. Andrew on the right and the puppet on the left creating balance. Position 4. Andrew is now on the left, in the foreground, and Jolly Jack the Sailor is further back on the right. It all leads, naturally, to Milo sitting down.
How great is this?
This couldn't be farther from a director who is plodding and uninspired. This enormous talent for elaborate staging and framing is all that visual flash critics refuse to recognize.
Good shot.
Yes, it was. Yellow.
Look at this shot. Last one, I swear. Andrew foreground, his back to us. Milo middle. Without leaving Andrew, we follow Milo to the right, so you can take that sip that will finally kill you.
We have to drink, Professor. It's the rules.
The camera follows Milo sitting down, and in that motion, Andrew's gun is revealed. This is just flawless filmmaking. One of the most common types of angles, the over-the-shoulder shot, given a creative twist. It flows, it serves the story, gives plenty of information and doesn't call attention to itself.
Good shot.
Yes, it was. Yellow.
Just as the characters never stop talking, they never stop moving. They never stop rearranging the scene. Compare it to the moving pieces of a board game if you want. What matters is that cinematic staging is visual storytelling. That elusive, elegant visual style is worthy of the highest praise. And it's something from now on I'm sure you won't fail to notice. Thank you for watching.
Good shot.
Yes, it was.